Yo, what is up guys, Delboy here. A quick preview and prediction for Ryan Garcia versus Romero Duno. This fight goes down on the 2nd of November and it takes place on the undercard of Sergey Kovalev versus Saul Canelo Alvarez. I've got to say, this is an undercard fight I'm looking forward to. It's a battle between a Mexican and a Filipino. That in itself is ingredients for a good fight, and I just like the style clash in this fight, I really do. So I believe this will be a good fight, and I certainly believe this is Ryan Garcia's toughest test of his career to date. So I'm looking forward to it. I think it's a good addition to the undercard of Sergey Kovalev versus Saul Canelo Alvarez. Let's get on to the tail of the tape quickly. We will start with Ryan Garcia. He has a record of 18-0, 15 of his 18 wins coming by way of knockout. His opponent, Romero Duno, has a record of 21 wins, 1 defeat, 0 draws, 16 of his 21 wins coming by way of knockout. Ryan Garcia is listed as 5'10" with a 70-inch reach, whereas Romero Duno is listed as 5'7" with a 68-inch reach. So Ryan Garcia, the taller, longer man, he is 3 inches taller with a 2-inch reach advantage. So Ryan Garcia is the taller, longer, rangier fighter, and for my money, he is just the bigger fighter in general. Now, whether he can make that count on fight night is a different matter. For me in this fight, the style clash is very interesting. Ryan Garcia, for me, is a guy who likes to counterpunch. He's got nice quick reactions. He can time you fairly effectively, particularly with that left hook. And he's the type of fighter who looks for those openings. He would rather wait until you make the mistake rather than him actually creating the openings himself. He's a guy who likes to sit back and capitalise on your errors. I don't think Ryan Garcia is great in regards to chasing a fight or creating the openings himself. He more so relies on you making the mistake first, and he's kind of a sharpshooter in that regards. As for Romero Duno, he is much more of an aggressive fighter. He is front foot heavy. He'll try and walk through what you have and apply pressure. He will work your body with hooks on the inside, uppercuts on the inside. He'll come up top with hooks and that short right hand. He's a guy who likes to force his pace on you, and essentially his game plan is to take you in a place where you don't want to be, and he will aim to drown you with his aggression, volume, and decent punching power. He'll basically try to overwhelm you with his aggression, work rate, and will. So this fight is a contrast between styles. It's a difference in philosophies of fighting, and it should make for a really good fight. When you've got a counterpuncher who's got decent power fighting an aggressive fighter with decent power, usually that will result in a good competitive fight. And that's what I see here. I've got to be honest. I believe this will be closely fought with many close rounds, and it will certainly be a closely fought battle. I would be surprised if anybody blasts the other out. I would really be shocked. For me, this fight will go down to the wire, and it could be close. I do have a couple of concerns in regards to Ryan Garcia, because he himself has been going through a few things outside the ring that could distract him, and in this type of fight I think you could really do without those distractions. So for example, Ryan Garcia has been having trouble in his love life. I know he's had a kid recently. There's some, hoo-ha about that, who's the mother or something like that. I'm not really interested in that sort of thing, but I know he's been, in hot water in regards to his personal life. On top of that, obviously, Ryan Garcia has had his public spat with Golden Boy Promotions and Oscar De La Hoya. At one point, potentially, it looked like he could leave the company. Now he's re-signed with Golden Boy, got a new lucrative contract apparently. So there's that as well to consider. So Ryan Garcia outside the ring has had distractions. Will that, kind of take away from his focus on fight night. Potentially, he's a young guy, he's not experienced, he's not fought a particularly high level of competition, so you've got to consider that. And against a guy like Romero Duno, who's not distracted by such things, who wants to win, who's really coming in there to change his life, that could be a recipe for disaster. So you've got to consider the outside the ring antics from Ryan Garcia and the distractions he's been having. I really do think that is something you have to consider. Do I believe anybody's getting knocked out in this fight? I don't think so. I believe this fight will go the distance. First and foremost, Ryan Garcia, he scored some good knockouts against lower level competition, but when he's fought tougher guys, he's gone the distance, I mean, for example, when he fought Jason Velez, a good solid pro, a former world title challenger, he went the distance in that fight, never really came close to stopping Velez. Obviously, the fight after that, he fought the tough Carlos Morales, and again, never really came close to stopping Morales, and that fight was actually a really tough fight for Ryan Garcia. My point being, when Ryan Garcia has fought guys with ambition, he hasn't really scored knockouts, All of the knockouts on his ledger, on his record, are against guys who are there to lose, basically. The two guys he actually fought who actually came to win, they took him the distance. So I'm not really expecting Ryan Garcia to stop a durable guy like Romero Duno. And as for Romero Duno himself, again, I don't really expect him to stop Ryan Garcia. He's never stopped anybody of any consequence. The best guy he fought was Mikhail Alexeyev in Russia back in 2016. He lost that fight by a unanimous decision. That is the best guy he's fought. And apart from that, he's got all wins, but he's never stopped anybody of any consequence. So I don't particularly expect Romero Duno to stop Ryan Garcia either. What I expect is a tough competitive fight where in some rounds the pressure of Romero Duno, the activity of Duno, will give Garcia problems and maybe even win Duno some rounds. But in other rounds, I could see a scenario where Duno is following Garcia around the ring and Garcia is keeping him at range beyond that superior reach, and he's timing him coming in with counter punches, particularly that left hook. And maybe it's a scenario where the more eye-catching, flashier, harder shots are coming from Garcia, but the work rate is coming from Romero Duno, And, this fight for me is a really tough one to call because we've seen Ryan Garcia struggle with aggressive guys. You go back to that Carlos Morales fight where he really struggled. He struggled with the aggression of Morales at times. But on the flip side, Romero Duno does bring that pressure. He does bring that aggression. But the dude is so open. You watch his last fight against Ivan Delgado. Romero Duno was getting pieced up against a guy who's not a C-level fighter, so he's going to give Ryan Garcia all of the opportunities in the world to land those flashy counterpunches. So for me, this fight could be a case of what you prefer. I believe it will be very competitive. But again, if you're asking me to pick a winner, I've got to say I'm going with Ryan Garcia. I believe he is the more educated boxer. He's the bigger, longer guy. And all around, I just believe this guy has a slightly better skill set than Romero Duno. Now, I'm not the biggest believer in Ryan Garcia. It has to be said. I don't think this guy is a standout prospect like Golden Boy are painting him out to be, but I believe he's got enough to beat Romero Duno. And yeah, I'm going with a Ryan Garcia close points win. I don't believe either guy will get stopped in this fight. And that's how I see this one. Ryan Garcia on points. Share your thoughts below. Do you believe Ryan Garcia can get upset in this fight by Romero Duno? Or like me, are you picking the favourite Ryan Garcia? Share your thoughts below. I like this fight. Like I say, I think it's a good test for Ryan Garcia. But ultimately, I believe it's a fight where he will come through and win a decision verdict. Share your thoughts below. Peace.